Hey guys, quick note. My brand new book, The Authoritarian Moment, is out this week. Go pick up a copy today. I think it's really important. It's about how all of the major institutions of American society have now been taken over and weaponized by the left against dissent. It's not just about how they did it. It's about how we take those institutions back. Check out the link in the description below and get a copy of The Authoritarian Moment. Alrighty, well, yesterday also featured the beginning of the January 6th Commission, the long-awaited January 6th Commission. And everybody on all sides basically acknowledges that this is political. What I mean by that is that we're not uncovering any new information. And yesterday didn't uncover any new information. We had a bunch of Capitol Police officers. The police are good again. That's exciting. I mean, honestly, I'm glad about this. The left has decided that the cops are good again, as long as the cops are being assaulted by people who are purportedly right-wing. If the cops are being assaulted by Black Lives Matter protesters, literally by the hundreds, if that is happening across an entire summer, the cops are all systemically racist and bad and kind of have it coming. If, however, the cops are assaulted by a bunch of right-wing droogs, then the cops are good again, which is really exciting news. Now, the January 6th Commission is not designed to actually elicit new information. All it's designed to do is focus in on how bad January 6th was. And what the left is seeking to accomplish via this, I understand. I understand what Democrats are doing. They are trying to keep January 6th front and center. They are trying to smear everybody who is of conservative bent with January 6th by saying that they're okay with it, or that it was fine, or that they voted for Trump and therefore they're responsible for it. I think that Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, I think the reason they're doing this is because they believe that Trump needs to be purged from the party. And so if they somehow go along with this commission, this will separate Republicans off from Trump, not understanding that in the reactionary way our politics works is precisely the opposite. That the more time you spend talking about Trump, the more people on the right are going to glom onto Trump, no matter his various heresies. In any case, the commission hearing yesterday was not particularly newsworthy. It just wasn't. I'm sorry, it's not news when people talk about things that we've known for months. It's not news when you explain what you felt while a video that we've already seen was happening. There's nothing new there, and yet it was treated with blanket wall-to-wall coverage. Again, at least the Benghazi hearings were an attempt to get Hillary Clinton to testify. She was a major political figure. She was the Secretary of State. She could talk to policy. And those are actually at least somewhat newsworthy. These hearings, I just don't understand what the point is. Are we uncovering anything new? Talking to police officers about their feelings, well, I am very sympathetic to the feelings of the police officers. I just don't understand what exactly is new here. And what really is a stage for Democrats to grandstand. So Liz Cheney led this thing off. She said, we should really be taking this seriously because do we really hate our political adversaries more than we love our country? Again, no, but the question is, do Democrats? Meaning, a little perspective here is necessary. January 6th was really ugly. The stuff that Donald Trump said between November 4th and January 6th about the election was almost entirely not true. With that said, I'm not seeing a lot of love coming from the Democratic side of the aisle for Republicans when this entire commission is almost overtly designed to malign the entire Republican Party as complicit in January 6th. Here's Liz Cheney going along with that.
The question for every one of us who serves in Congress, for every elected official across this great nation, indeed for every American, is this: will we adhere to the rule of law? Will we respect the rulings of our courts? Will we preserve the peaceful transition of power? Or will we be so blinded by partisanship that we throw away the miracle of America?
I have a question. When was the miracle of America thrown away? Vice President Pence presided over the certification of the election. The idiots who ran into the Capitol building have all been arrested. They're going to jail. By the way, whenever I see the media do this routine about how this is the worst attack on the Capitol since 1812, the Capitol was bombed a few times during the 60s. Like the Senate building was bombed during the 60s. So I have some questions. Adam Schiff, who, if you wanted to make this, if you wanted this commission to be taken seriously, you would not put the clown that is Adam Schiff on stage. Adam Schiff is a clown. He's a clown who pitched a pump tent outside of the green room of CNN and left it there for 4 years, proclaiming that just around the corner lurked all of the information about Donald Trump's Russian collusion. And now he's out there trying to proclaim that January 6th was the worst thing that has ever happened to the country and ginning up some tears for the purpose. There's a lot of crying yesterday in this commission hearing. And I got to say, I'm pretty consistent on this. I'm not a big fan of politicians crying. I just don't think that it's a thing. I don't think that, but that's because I don't think politics is generally a place for performative empathy. I think politics is a solution-driven business, or should be. I'm not seeing a lot of solutions. I am seeing a lot of emotion.
And if we're so driven by bigotry and hate that we attack our fellow citizens as traitors, if they're born in another country or they don't look like us. And God help us. But I have faith because of folks like you.
Acting! You get the John Lovett. Sorry, I'm sorry. I don't believe politicians, generally speaking, right or left, when they do this routine. And I certainly don't believe Adam Schiff, who I think is a congenital liar. So no, I don't buy it. I'm sorry, I don't buy the emotion there. I don't. I mean, you've had every opportunity to figure out what you're going to say, and what you come up with is that. All right. Okay, so then we had a bunch of Capitol Police officers describing the events in very colorful ways. And listen, I'm not going to doubt the accounts of the police officers. They did say, one of the police officers said something that wasn't true, said that Brian Sicknick was killed on site. That of course is not true. But I'm not going to doubt the experience of police officers who got beaten up trying to defend the Capitol building. But again, I will note that Democrats are very sympathetic toward a particular type of police officer depending on who does the beating. I'm sympathetic to these police officers because I'm sympathetic to all police officers trying to stop criminality. But these police officers got fairly political yesterday, and I think there's a reason that Democrats were very happy to call them to testify. Here's Capitol Police Officer Michael Fanone yesterday.
What makes the struggle harder and more painful is to know so many of my fellow citizens, including so many of the people I put my life at risk to defend, are downplaying or outright denying what happened. I feel like I went to hell and back to protect them and the people in this room. But too many are now telling me that hell doesn't exist, or that hell actually wasn't that bad. The indifference shown to my colleagues is disgraceful.
Okay, so that makes for a good TV. I'm wondering what the indifference is. Like, really, who's totally indifferent about January 6th? Are there lots of people who are indifferent about it? Or are there people who are saying January 6th was horrifying and terrible, and the people who are the criminals should go to jail? And also, that riot, which it was, is no different in content than the riots of BLM over the summer, and treating it as some sort of radical outlier, as opposed to another act of criminal activity, is blowing this thing out of political proportion, right? For political purposes. And I don't blame him for feeling angry about this sort of stuff. But I am going to say that I think the Democrats are putting this thing together for a reason, and I think that CNN is getting what they want out of it, obviously. Capitol Police Officer Daniel Hodges then described the events as well. Again, I'm fine with all these people testifying. I'm just wondering when we get the testimony of all the police officers. I mean, I know police officers who were literally hit with bricks during the BLM riots. Not one of them will have their face shown on TV by any of these networks.
One counter-protester, a black man, was backpedaling away from a white man in a Trump-labeled face mask who was closely following him with an outstretched arm. Myself and my colleague first arrived and physically separated the two, but a crowd of Donald Trump's people had gathered. They attempted to bait the counter-protester into attacking, shouting insults such as, "Your mother's a whore," and accusing him of hiding behind the cops. Cut off from our leadership, which was at the front of our formation, we huddled up and assessed the threats surrounding us. One man tried and failed to build a rapport with me, shouting, "Are you my brother?" Another takes a different tack, shouting, "You will die on your knees."
Yeah, I mean, that's ugly and horrifying and worthy of remembering. Is it a transformative moment in American politics? I'm not sure why precisely it should be, considering, again, the goals of the protesters, not protesters, the goals of the criminal rioters were not met. In fact, they were completely rejected, and those people are going to end up in jail. And then you had police officers who were drawing political conclusions. You have Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn, who called Trump a hitman, said that Trump was a hitman. Now, again, testifying outside the area of expertise, I think, would be the best way to put this.
What I ask from you all is to get to the bottom of what happened. And that includes, like, I echo the sentiments of all of the other officers sitting here. I use an analogy to describe what I want as a hitman. If a hitman is hired and he kills somebody, the hitman goes to jail. But not only does the hitman go to jail, but the person who hired them does. There was an attack carried out on January 6th, and a hitman sent them. I want you to get to the bottom of that.
Okay, so Trump apparently sent these people. Right? Now we are beyond the scope of what these officers know or have an ability to know, of course. But that's not the point. The point is, what can they say on TV? And because they're police officers, you're supposed to just take at face value their political analysis. I'm willing to take at face value their experiences that day, obviously. I have no reason to doubt it. It's on tape. Also, I generally trust police officers when they testify about what they have experienced. But I don't see that they have any specific credibility when it comes to how things went down regarding the activities of the White House or whether Trump was somehow organizing with the people who invaded the Capitol building. But again, this was the real point of the January 6th commission in the first place. Capitol Police Officer Aquilino Gonell did the same thing. He said Trump created this monstrosity.
You hear former President Trump say, quote, "It was a loving crowd. There was a lot of love in the crowd." How does that make you feel?
It's upsetting. It's a pathetic excuse for his behavior for something that he himself helped to create, this monstrosity. I'm still recovering from those hugs and kisses that day that he claimed that so many rioters, terrorists, were assaulting us that day. If that was hugs and kisses, then we should all go to his house and do the same thing to him.
Oh, great. That's yes. Excellent. All right. Meanwhile, by the way, Harry Dunn, the second to last officer that we discussed a moment ago, he actually suggested that because people mistreated him, this is all of America. This is political, guys. If it was supposed to be not political, if it was just supposed to be about uncovering the truth, you wouldn't be asking questions like, how did it make you feel? How did it make you feel is not a question that elicits truth. It's a question that elicits a subjective perception. That's fine. But let's not pretend this is a fact-finding operation because it isn't.
One woman in a pink MAGA shirt yelled, "You hear that, guys? This voted for Joe Biden." Then the crowd, perhaps around 20 people, joined in screaming, "Boo!" The fact that we had our race attacked and just because of the way we look, you know. To answer your question, frankly, I guess it is America. It shouldn't be, but I guess that's the way that things are.
It is America. Okay, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. You wonder why a lot of Republicans didn't want to go along with this? Because they knew that this is what it was going to be. They knew that this was going to be a bunch of conclusory, non-evidence-based accusations against America writ more broadly. And again, the high cynicism of Democrats turning into big cop supporters, depending on who exactly is being targeted by the police, is quite fascinating. Did you know that every single like creates one additional leftist tier? That is just science.